Okay, for those of you that may not know, this is the PSP Go. The PSP Go is the next iteration of the PSP series, and it got me thinking back to the whole DSi versus PSP thing. Now, I settled on the DSi. I've had it for about 4 months, and in no way am I tired of it. I still enjoy the games, but I'm using less of the features than I thought I would be. The features that I'm using primarily have come down to the DSi shop, the music player, and the games, and that's about it. I don't touch the camera. I do not touch the web browser. I do play some of the downloaded games that I have, but I haven't played WarioWare in a long while. So suffice it to say that I still use it, and I will still continue to use it, primarily because of the exclusivity of Mario and Zelda and all that. Heck, I'm looking at getting Spirit Tracks, the Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks for the Nintendo DSi when it comes out. But at the same time, Nintendo has had sort of like a reputation of being a child's company in this, or at least at the very most a family-friendly company, G-rated. Sony, on the other hand, has tend to cater more towards my age group, which, suffice it to say, would be somebody in the age of like 18 to, I don't know, 30 or something, 35. And another reason I went with the DSi is, now you'll need to forgive me when I say this, but there's a part of me that is living, how do I explain this? There's a part of me that's living in a younger age. Now, again, this is only a part of me, and in a way, I would like to try to escape that and try to get into some of the more, well, shall we say, adult-type games. Unfortunately, the DSi is not really known for that, which is completely understandable. I think they tried GTA Chinatown Wars on the DSi, and it was a big flop. What else did I want to say? Oh yeah, another reason I'm looking at the PSP Go versus the PSP 3000 is because if we go back, well, there's the white one closed. Let me stop right here and say that I really like this white. I mean, it's beautiful, and I like the fact that Sony's releasing the white PSP Go right at launch, because I don't even think they have a white DSi yet, and I was hoping they'd release it here in America, but they didn't. So let's go back. See that? Nice and compact. 3.8-inch widescreen display. Now that is very important to me. Now, how do I explain this? Like I said, I'd like to try to get into the more adult-type titles that are out there. And also, I have grown fond of, after having seen reviews and gameplay, I have been growing fond of Ratchet & Clank. I think the reason I settled on the DSi at the time was because I was still, how do I put this? I was still in that mentality, that part of me that still enjoyed the more G-rated stuff. And as I said before, I'm trying to get that out of the way. And again, after having had the DSi for about 4 months, I'm finding that I'm using a lot less of the features than I expected. Oh, one more thing that I'm definitely not touching is the camera. That wore off really quick. I didn't really expect it to, but it did. I'm not touching the web browser. I downloaded the web browser. I'm not touching that. Partially because it's rather clunky especially compared to the iPod. Speaking of the iPod, that's another reason I'm looking into this. My iPod first generation has been a great device, but as you will see in another video, and probably already have seen if you are watching this after that video, I'm having issues with it, primarily in areas relating to YouTube, it well, I'll explain in the other video, but it's getting problematic. And on top of that, I'm starting to get I read Engadget, okay? I am a technology freak. So I've been reading Engadget, and I've been looking very closely at Apple's behavior. Needless to say, I'm not all that impressed. Now, am I going to retire my iPod first generation? No, because to be honest, it's the best portable web browser I've got. It's just their practices, the whole thing of approving apps in the App Store, and basically stuff. If it's not in Apple's interests, you can forget it, and that kind of bugs me. So in a way, I guess I'm looking for an upgrade to the iPod that, you know, is something different. And the PSP is certainly a worthy contender. I mean, it's nowhere near as close to the iPod as far as functionality as a media player, but at the same time, I mean, I guess, I don't know, there was a review on Stuff.tv that said it probably won't replace your iPod, but I mean, it's certainly better than the DSi when it comes to media. I will definitely expect that because, I mean, again, look at this screen. It's 3.8-inch widescreen. It's huge. So we'll just have to wait and see how this plays out. It's releasing October 1st here in the States for $250. One of the interesting things about it, by the way, is that you cannot take the battery out. So, but I understand why they did that, because this is the very first. A lot of people say the PSP is a PlayStation in your pocket. This is the only PSP that I've seen that looks like it'll actually live up to that statement. There was one more thing, and I can't remember what it is, concerning the PSP Go that I really liked. It was the 3.8-inch widescreen, the more adult titles, the thing about getting away from Apple. Oh, the 16 gigs of flash will be doable, but I do think I'm going to get a 16 gig memory stick. Oh, that's what it was. I just remembered. I'll just say this. I do plan to get a 16 gig memory stick micro to expand on that, but I should be able to get my entire music library minus the Apple DRM iTunes Store stuff. The other thing that I was going to point out was the games, okay? The PSP Go is more expensive up front, but for that, you're more than likely going to pay a lot less for the games. I've been reading that they are going to have games as cheap as you find in the iTunes App Store. In other words, you're going to be able to get Gran Turismo as a digital download for about, I don't know, maybe $10 as opposed to $20 if you got it on disc. Why? Because it's a lot cheaper to do the digital downloads, actually. And the reason it's cheaper is because they don't have to spend the money on discs, burning equipment, cases, and they don't have to worry about printing all the manuals and whatnot. So this is actually, I think, a much better way to go. And a much more environmentally friendly way to go. The PSP Go, it's more expensive up front, but I mean, in the long run, think about it. You're cheaper games, and you're helping to save the environment because you save all those resources and all those trees. I mean, this is just fantastic, and when it comes out in October, if my local Best Buy gets one, you can bet I'm definitely going to check it out. One of the reviewers said that the buttons are a little cramped. I don't know, we'll have to see. My fingers are a little smaller than the average, but we'll see what happens. A lot of people were expecting a second memory stick, a second control stick. I read that Sony very, very, very seriously, they sat down for a very long time and discussed that. They didn't want to do a second control stick because of the lack of compatibility with the legacy titles on the PSP already, so there you go. But anyway, PSP Go, very interesting device. I'm definitely keeping my eye on it. I'd like to hear your thoughts on my reasoning about it. Thank you for watching. Comments are welcome. And, sorry, I had to fiddle for the record button. And have a nice day. Comments against me will get you blocked.